learning traits. I want to decode what those mysterious logon type numbers mean to your event logs. In this video, we are breaking down Windows logon types. What are they? Why they matter? And how attackers try to hide using them. Let's go. I'll give you an overview. What is the purpose of it? So, let's take an example like when a user logs into a Windows system, whether locally or over RDP or through a scheduled task, Windows records the logon type. Understanding these types can be the difference between catching an attack or missing it entirely. Now let me break down like logon types. Each logon type, why does it matter, and what is the purpose of each. So on the screen you could see logon type 2, which is interactive. This means someone logged in physically at the keyboard. Think of someone sitting at the workstation, someone literally logging in through the keyboard, local logon at the computer level. So that's logon type 2, which is interactive. Logon type 3, which is network. So used like we can the scenario would be like used when accessing shared folders or network resource. This is also the go-to for SMB based lateral movement, like access from network. SMB and shared folders is a set. Logon type 3 is for someone who's trying to log in through a network. And let's move on to the next logon type, which is 4, and it is for batch, used by scheduled tasks. Let's say if malware sets up a malicious task, this might show up here when it says the logon type 4 is a batch and used by scheduled tasks. If malware sets up a malicious task, this might show up in the Windows logon types. And let's move on to the next logon type, which is 5, logon type 5, which is for service. So the purpose of it is like services that start with the system log on with this type. Watch this during service abuse or persistence, like service account logon by service control manager. That's logon type 5. And the next one is logon type 7, which is like unlocking a workstation. The use case scenario would be like this is used when a user unlocks the screen. It confirms continued presence at a workstation. So that's logon type 7, which is for unlocking a workstation or unlocking a computer. And the next one is logon type 10, remote interactive, which is like this is one of the biggest ones, used for RDP sessions. Remote access equal to high risk. You want to alert on this. So RDP, remote desktop protocol sessions, the logon type 10, which is remote interactive. This is one of the big ones used for RDP sessions. Remember this, logon type 10, remote interactive, logging in through RDP protocol. It can be Citrix VDI or any remote RDP protocol sessions. And the next one is logon type 8, network clear text, network logon with credentials in plain text, like old system HTTP 80 basic authentication, the HTTP 80, which is for basic authentication, which is not secured, whereas HTTP 443, which is a secured version where the credentials will be encrypted, it won't be in plain text. So remember, logon type 8, it's for network clear text logon. Logon type 9, new credentials, run as command or using alternative credentials. Logon type 9, new credentials, run as command are using alternative credentials. And the next one is logon type 11, cached interactive. You see here, cached interactive, used when a domain user logs on with cached credentials, like on laptop that's offline. So logon type 11 is for cached interactive, which uses cached credentials which are stored in your browser cache or your local cache. So that's about different logon types, out of which the most important ones are logon type 2, interactive, logon type 3, network login, logon type 10, remote interactive or RDP login. These are few logon types, what's their purpose, and how do we analyze it. So I'll probably give you an overview about a real-time scenario. Let's take an example. I might probably have it here. Let me see. All right, so you can see it on the screen. We have this suspicious behavior to watch. So we are looking at 3 different logon events here, right? All shares the same event ID, 4624, 4624, 4624, which indicates a successful login to a Windows system. But what makes this suspicious? Let's break it down. Move on to the first session on your left, which is logon type 2 from source IP Y using an account name X. This usually means someone logged in locally right in front of the machine. Seems normal, right? I mean, this seems pretty normal. The account name is X and the logon type is 2. Source IP is Y using account name X, and this usually means someone logged in locally. And the event ID for this is 4624, which is successful login. And the scene 3, which is on the right, if we move here, event ID 4624 and the account login type is 3, basically here, network login, which simply means network login, which we just discussed. Immediately after, like, there is a logon type from same IP and same account name. This type of login typically happens when someone accesses shared folders or a network service. Still possibly fine, but like back-to-back pattern like this can indicate lateral movement or privilege testing, right? Same event, I mean, same account name, same source IP, but different logon types. So this is network, I mean, this is the local login and this is the network login, which is type 3. Let's move on to the scene 3. Here you can see the arrow, it moves here, which is logon type 10, which is nothing but remote interactive RDP. Then we see a logon type 10, a remote interactive logon, again same account X, same IP Y. This is like a big red flag. We now know, like, someone moving from local access to the network access, and finally RDP, local access, network access, and RDP, and finally RDP, all within a short span of time, right? And we see the event ID is 4624, which means successful. So what it might indicate, what does this indicate? This sequence, like local login followed by a network login and followed by a RDP, could signal that an attacker has gained credentials and is now exploring the network or escalating access. In real world attack, this might be part of lateral movement tactic or a privilege escalation attempt. So my final thoughts here are, like, while each event on its own might seem harmless, it's the pattern that tells the story. So always monitor for abnormal sequence, especially when the same account and IP jump across multiple logon types in a short time frame. So that's about the suspicious behavior which we discussed. And let's move on to, well, I'll just let me just repeat this again. What are most important logon types? Logon type 2, which is interactive, local logon at the computer level. Logon type 3, network logon, access from network. Logon type 4, batch, schedule tasks using task scheduler. Logon type 5, service account logon. Logon type 7, unlocking a workstation. Logon type 8, network clear text, which means network login in through unencrypted channel, which is HTTP 80 or basic authentication. Logon type 9, new credentials, run as command or using alternative credentials. Logon type 10, which is remote interactive, RDP, remote desktop protocol sessions. Logon type 11, cached interactive, cache credential, used similar to like offline logon using local cache or the browser cache. So this is what it is, and there are like different use cases which we can build through Splunk SIM solution, like using correlations rules to detect this behavior. So that's about Windows logon types. So understanding Windows logon types empowers you to detect breaches early. And I'll link the reference PDF in the description. You can download that. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay secure.